Hello everyone and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today I'm in Ponytown, specifically in the caves. I'm going to be going all over the place in Ponytown here, and we're going to explore all over the place and talk about Easter eggs. Now Easter eggs is a thing where, you know, like it's sort of like a reference to something else. GTA does really good Easter eggs in their games and stuff like that, and usually open world games have a lot of Easter eggs that reference either other games or some kind of inside joke from the developers or whatever else. If you ever played Watch Dogs 2, there's like gnomes all over the place. Those are Easter eggs. So things like that. Ponytown doesn't have those Easter eggs. So I figured in today's video I would go ahead and come up with some ideas for Ponytown to use for Easter eggs, and maybe they'll use these ideas, maybe they'll use one of them, or maybe they'll see this and be like, yeah, you know what, maybe we should include an Easter egg in some way or another. So I just want to go through my list here. I have actually quite a big of list here, so I might end up splitting this into two parts. So if you do want a part 2 to this, then let me know in the comments below. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this, starting with the caves, since I'm in the caves for some odd reason. So in the caves, I feel there should be an Easter egg here. This would again improve the caves by giving people another reason to go to the caves. Right now there's not many reasons to go. I've discussed this before. But simply putting an Easter egg somewhere in the caves would improve it tremendously. Now I'm not just going to say, oh, put an Easter egg in the caves. I'm going to give you an idea on what to put in the caves for the Easter egg. I think over here or somewhere in the void, maybe it's randomly out here in the void. Maybe it's over here every time, or maybe it's over here sometimes and over here sometimes, just like different places like that. It's just all over the place. It's just random. You just see a pair of red eyes just kind of open up and kind of look around, and then they close up and they're gone. I think this could be an interesting little Easter egg. It could be something that happens every 13 in-game days, so every 13 days in-game, then they will appear somewhere in the caves. That way it's not like, oh, it's always there, you can just go to the caves and see it. You have to be lucky to see it, or you have to know exactly when it's going to happen to actually see it. So something simple as just like a pair of cave eyes that appear somewhere randomly or something like that would be interesting and very nice. So this next Easter egg is actually a pretty simple one, and it could be literally anywhere on the map. I'm just going to use this area as an example. There's stumps all across the map. It's just all over the place. There's stumps all over the place. I think it would be interesting and maybe a nice little detail or a little Easter egg or something like that if they carved a face inside one of these stumps in the map somewhere. So maybe this stump or these stumps over here, you know, just a random stump. Instead of having, you know, the little shape that they have inside them, they could do something like a pony face. They could put a pony face in there, or they could etch in some kind of heart that made it look like, oh, you know, there was two lovers here at one point that carved their initials into the tree or something like that. Something like that would be an interesting little Easter egg, especially if it is the heart thing. It would be really nice if it was like two developers that were married or something like that, or two like dev artists or something that were married, or like if the dev artist is married or whatever, or something like that, then maybe their initial plus their wife's initial or whatever. That's another Easter egg idea, of just putting either a carved heart inside either a tree, I guess you could do with that. But I think the pony face on the stump would be nice, and it would just be something that, you know, almost no one would ever notice, because for the most part you just kind of ignore these trees. You can even take it a step further and make it to where you could only see the face if you have see-through obstacles on. So as you can see, there's these trees here. You can kind of see the top of that stump the way you can these trees over here, or these stumps over here. It would be even more interesting if you had to actually have, you know, see-through obstacles on to actually even see the Easter egg in the first place. That would again make it even more difficult for you to find the Easter egg, and thus more rewarding when you do find it. And no list will be complete without some kind of reference to the gay pool, so I think there should be some kind of random event, or maybe some random Easter egg that sometimes happens where you see some type of rainbow or something like that around the gay pool here. Maybe every once in a while, not every once in a while, but maybe like on specific days or of time of year or something like that, there's some form of rainbow color coming from the lanterns, or maybe this torch over here, something like that, where there's just a little bit of a rainbow to kind of to be a little bit of an Easter egg to the gay pool. Honest here, that one's mostly a joke, but it would be really nice if they did acknowledge the gay pool in that way. Hashtag make the gay pool canon. Another great Easter egg that would be really interesting to see is if every once in a while, you know, there's just sometimes a jack-o'-lantern, like every, you know, other day or whatever like that, maybe every other update, they just kind of sometimes have a jack-o'-lantern here. Like sometimes maybe there's a jack-o'-lantern here, or maybe sometimes there's a jack-o'-lantern here, or maybe it's some kind of carved out face that is not like the other jack-o'-lanterns or something like that, and they can kind of hide it here, and then maybe like a player can interact with it and it disappears. Or you can have it to where it's random for each player, like some players will see it, other players won't. That way it's sort of like, oh, there's a face over here, and you can show your friend, and like, no, that's just a normal pumpkin, and it creates like a little thing there. I don't know how well that one would work, but just having something like, something going on here in the pumpkins would be interesting and nice. So I don't really know where to go for this next one, so I'm just going to kind of just use like this little flower right here for my example. So essentially the idea is that there is something on the map, just some random thing. Perhaps it's some kind of special crystal, or perhaps it's some kind of a cloth or something like that. Just some kind of Easter egg of some kind that is some form of reference to one of the people on the Ponytown team, or something else that maybe they're like an inside joke or something else like that, or maybe some kind of reference to the MLP fandom as a whole. And the idea is that it's just somewhere randomly on the map, and players can interact with it and not pick it up, but they basically interact with it. They just click on it once or whatever, and it disappears. It's gone, and it's somewhere else on the map now, and it doesn't do anything. It just kind of like, it's like, oh, you found it, there it is, you clicked it, and now it's gone, it's somewhere else now. It would be an interesting thing where like maybe it just moves randomly on its own, like, oh, you found it, you can interact with it to make it disappear, or maybe it's like, oh, it's just sometimes there, sometimes not, and it's moving around on its own. That's just another small thing that would be a very easy thing, I imagine, for them to just implement, being like, oh yeah, here's this. Alright, so for this next one, it would be in the party house. Yes, that's right, it would be something that's literally in every person's party house. It's somewhere that wouldn't affect your party house, but it would be in everyone's party house. So, we just have a little normal room here and everything like that, and as you know, there's multiple ways to get outside of your house, or outside of your walls, or whatever. You can do the old, classic, get yourself inside like a fruit box or something like that, and then just walk up, and you're out here in the void now, or whatever. Okay, you could just walk right back out. I didn't know that, but anyway, so there's multiple ways to get out. You can use the fruit box thing like I did, or you can, do the lantern thing where you kind of fly through it or whatever, and then you get out into the void. It's very difficult, and sometimes it teleports you back, but you can get out in the void that way, or you can kind of just grab some fruit or a box or something like that, put it inside of you, and then just walk outside, and there you go. You're out there in the void now, and you can do whatever. You're in the void, and the idea here is that they have some form of plushie or some other Easter egg or reference to the game, or something like that out here in the void. Now you wouldn't normally be able to see it because it wouldn't be up here where I am now. It would be up against the wall where you would never see it. So you would have to use this glitch to get outside the walls to eventually see it. The reason why I think this would never happen is because I imagine they want to eventually fix this bug or this glitch or whatever you want to call it. But I imagine they want to eventually fix that, so they probably never will add an Easter egg out here, but this would be a very easy Easter egg for them to include, because literally all they have to do is just put something small out here that you can only see if you're out actually on the void. So anyway, that is that one. Let's move on to another one. So moving on to the next thing is a kissing Easter egg where you can kiss certain animals, such as this cat here or one of the spiders. I remember when kissing first got added to the game, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's some kind of Easter egg where if I kiss the cat or kiss the spider or whatever, I wonder if there's some kind of reaction, if there's some kind of Easter egg in that regard, or like, oh, they decided to add this because it's a fun little detail. But there's nothing there, and it would be a very nice thing for them to add where, oh, this cat sometimes comes up here, so you don't have, infinite opportunity to do it. It sometimes comes up here. It's on some kind of looping timer or whatever you want to call it. So it sometimes come on there. It would be nice if you could, just do a simple little kiss emote and kiss it in some way, and then that would make it like shoot up a heart or something like that. Something really nice and interesting. Maybe it even does like the heart thing, like what your character does here with the little hearts floating up. Maybe it does something like that when you kiss it or something like that. But that would be a really interesting Easter egg to have. have. I personally would love to see that. But the point of this video is that there's many ways for them to just include Easter eggs. Like another one is for them to literally just like etch in something on this wall here. Like they could literally just scribble something on there that's really tiny that, you know, only certain people would get or whatever. Small things like that. But there is plenty of ideas for them to do for this game, you know, to add for Easter eggs here and there. And I would love to, you know, see them. I would love to see some kind of Easter egg appear here at some point. Because right now there doesn't seem to be any Easter eggs, or at least that I can think of. I mean, I guess you could say that the booping the cat is an Easter egg, but yeah, it would be interesting to see some kind of Easter egg here. Like you can obviously pet this cat and it does something. I guess that's kind of an Easter egg, but I'm talking about something that you gotta like hunt for, something that you wouldn't think to do, such as kissing the spider or something like that. You wouldn't think to kiss a spider, but if you did that, maybe it does something. It would be really nice to have that. And I just want to see some kind of Easter egg that, you know, people have to hunt for and find and discover and stuff like that. So there's many ideas and many options here, but these are just a few ideas I had. I actually have like 6 more over here on my list here. So if you want to see a part 2 to this, or a sequel to this, whatever you want to call it, then let me know in the comments below and I will do that. I will make a sequel to this. If you don't, then don't worry about it. Just share your own you know, ideas for Easter eggs or theories on the game or whatever else you want to talk about, and maybe I'll include it in another video. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I do hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, please do like, subscribe, and share, and do all of those wonderful things, because when you do those wonderful things, you get access to wonderful content such as this. But that's not all you get. That's not all you get. You also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.